This is vongentlemen's Exodia deck. I mean, it kind of keeps in track with my fondness for underappreciated and seldomly used archetypes. As stated before, it's Exodia, so the only real purpose of this deck is to draw 5 Exodia pieces and ideally do it quickly. To make it that, this deck's only got 40 cards in it, so 1/8 of it is Exodia pieces. It's a fairly nice
Fun
margin.
fact!
Yeah!
Go mad.
The rest of the deck is essentially one large thinning engine because drawing engines for Exodia are annoying to make and kind of impractical. Main focus, I've got a Tricycular combo set up. For those of you who don't know, Tricycular summons a Bicycular when it's killed in battle. Then Bicycular summons a Unicycular when killed in battle. So it effectively yanks a bunch of cards out of my deck and provides cover for my life points. I like my life points. And then below that, I've got Troop Dragons, 3 of them. Each Troop Dragon summons a Troop Dragon when it's killed, so more deck thinning and life point protection. And then next to that, I've got Giant Germ, which is like Troop Dragon 2.0, because Giant Germ summons 2 Giant Germs, and it also does 500 damage, so my opponent doesn't get a perfect in the event that I don't draw Exodia effectively. Next to that, I've got Wall of Illusion. That's only really in there until I can get a Marshmallow on, but Wall of Illusion's nice because it bounces back the attacking monster to its opponent's hands. So it's kind of nasty little surprise when they get a trump card out in the field. And I got Spirit Reaper. Can't be destroyed by battle. This card is kind of a must. And then next to that, Sanguine. It's only really in there to search Exodia pieces. It's essentially the equivalent of having 1 less card in my deck. And then speaking of less cards, I've got 3 Upstart Goblins. Well, they do give opponents 1,000 life points. Each one lets me draw a card, so 3 Upstart Goblins is really the equivalent of running a 37-card deck. Then next to that, I've got Magical Mallet. This card is all kinds of practical because it lets me bounce back any cards that I wouldn't be using, like Unicycular, back into my deck. Then next to that, I've got a Card Trader. It's like Magical Mallet, but I can do it once per turn. Insanely practical. Pot of Avarice is there if any Exodia pieces land in the graveyard. I wasn't done explaining. It's saved my ass a bunch of times. And then Monster Reincarnation is Pot of Avarice for hand adding, I guess. And then next to that is Messenger Piece. It's a nifty little card. It's one that hasn't seen a lot of play lately, but it states that all monsters with 1,500 or more attack can't attack. And the owner pays 100 life points every turn. The 100 doesn't really compare much to the damage I would be taking if I didn't have Messenger Piece on the field, so it's a handy little stall. And then the Dark Door. This card is 10 different kinds of nasty in this deck, because it means that the opponent can only attack with 1 monster per turn. And since I can effectively summon 2 monsters every turn, math dictates that they won't be touching my life points. And then moving on, I've got Lightning Vortex. This card's really just too practical not to have in the deck. It's in case the opponent summons something I don't like something with Trample. And then I've also got MST. Again, it's a card that's way too useful not to have in the deck. Gravity Bind. It's a fan favorite. Prevents all 4-star or higher monsters from attacking, which effectively cuts off 60–90% of decks these days' main attack force. And then 2 Sakuratsus. Again, that's if I don't have a good monster on the field or if I don't like what the opponent's attacking with. And then a Scrap Iron, which limits their attack, or decreases the amount of attacks they can make per turn by 1. Combo with the Dark Door for extra nastiness. As stated, it's a fairly simplistic deck. There's not really any combos in here except deck thin and draw Exodia pieces. Yeah.
Urbellum loves this deck.
Yeah, it loves this deck a lot. It's what we call a illegitimate relationship, though. This deck is filing for a restraining order against it because it feels Urbellum's being a bit abusive. It's actually currently that way with Dark Scorpion decks, too. This deck once had an unpleasant experience with a Dark Scorpion deck, which ironically was mine.
And Needleworm.
Yeah, and it got 2 Exodia pieces in the graveyard, and the Monster Reincarnation and Pot of Avarice in the graveyard, too. Causing me to start tearing up and wondering why I put my hand and deck disruption deck up against my Exodia deck. I don't really know why I do things anymore. Again, it's an Exodia deck, so it's fairly simplistic, doesn't care what your opponent's life points are. The cool thing is this deck only cost me $2.50 to make, which is really nice.
Except for the Exodia pieces.
No, the Exodia pieces only cost $2.50.
Holy crap.
A lot of people are willing to trade their Exodia pieces for moderate trades just because the average Yu-Gi-Oh player doesn't really have any use for a lone Exodia piece. I just had to order the right and left leg, which were only $1 each.
Who has a use for a lone Exodia piece?
Nobody.
Like
unless you're running some sort
right leg for game.
I actually had someone try and pull left arm for game. This was like one of those 6-year-old kids, and he didn't really know that you need a full set of Exodia pieces. And he's like, ha 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 ha! Your 2 Dark Magicians and Dark Eradicator Warlock lose. Left leg of Exodia for game, and I'm like, oh no no no.
No, that doesn't mean you 1/5 win. I'm sorry.
That's 1/5 of a victory.
Well,
do that 5 more times.
Well, aside from
this deck also really hates Magician's Circle, because the only spellcasters in this deck are Exodia pieces.
Last Day of the Witch.
So, opponent just flips Magician's Circle and forces one of them onto the field, and that makes me tear up a little. But at the same time, it's kind of nice because that dumps one in graveyard, so I can retrieve it with the Reincarnation. Yeah, this deck doesn't really have any flip effects anymore. I used to put 3 Bubonic Vermin in it, which was nice because if the opponent tried to Nobleman of Crossout, then it deck thinned anyway. Hooray for deck thinning! It also used to have 3 Gather Your Minds, but
Gather Your Mind is bad.
Yeah, the practicality of that's pretty limited. I mean, if I had a choice, I'd probably be running like 3 Toon Table of Contents. Oh yeah, and I'm looking for 3 Thunder Dragons, but the card's annoying to get a hold of. Oh, look, it looks like he has 2. Joyous Day.
Somewhere.
Somewhere. Oh no, so we're going to be wading through what amounts to Fort Knox of unusual cards. Oh no, the camera's zooming out. Does that mean it's time to leave?
Can I be in this video?
Yes, you can. Hey, guys, this is Mark. He's in our Exodia video. We're at 7 minutes already. I think we finished covering what was in my deck at like 3. So.
And my face, too.
Yeah, Exodia deck. Believe it or not, this has actually won more duels than it's lost. Surprising, right? I mean, no one seems to love Exodia anymore. And this deck like double wins duels because when you pull Exodia on someone, not only does it cause them to lose the duel, it often takes away their will to really play any more duels after that.
Unicycular for game.
Yes, this is Unicycular for game in a slightly more annoying sense. It's not quite as soul-breaking as Destiny board sets. I'm actually building a Destiny board deck. I'll post the video for that when it's done.
It's not going to work.
It's going to work. I don't want to spoil it yet because I want this to be a big surprise.
Say goodbye to Exodia!
Oh my god! Excuse me for a second. What I'm about to do cannot be shown on camera.